What up, though? This is Knockouts in 3 Counts. But before we bring you another episode of Podcast Gold, let me tell you about the homies over at Michigan's Finest. Do you ever find yourself trying to get yourself together and thinking, man, this is going to be a great night, but I'm looking for that little extra something? Well, check out our friends at Michigan Finest. If you are into medical marijuana, recreational marijuana, concentrates, vapes, anything of that sort, Michigan's Finest has got you covered. And as you can see here, it's all easily done by their website. It's all curbside, and you'll be in and out in 2 minutes. And they're family owned and operated, so customer service is their number one goal. And now, since they are rocking with Knockouts in 3 Counts, use the code KO3MF. Yes, that's KO3MF. You get 10% off your entire order, but that does exclude featured items and items that are already on sale. But if you use that code, you're getting 10% off your items, and I promise you, either if you're looking for that big knockout or you're ready to hit the sheets for that 3 count, Michigan's Finest will get you together. Tell them Knockouts in 3 Counts sent you, and I promise you, you're going to be having a great night. Peace.
Oh, yeah. This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts in 3 Counts.
Cover! We got a new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts in 3 Counts is the podcast, baby! It's the real deal, baby!
Knockouts in 3 Counts starts now.
Ooh, what up, though? It is another Thursday. This is Knockouts in 3 Counts, and somehow I have managed not to go postal yet. In the meantime and in between time, we got some fights going down this weekend. I wish I was heading across the pond to go see them. But we're going to see if lightning can strike twice for old Leon Edwards as he goes to take out Kamaru Usman. I mean, hey, I am not trying to take any respect off the man's name, but to beat Kamaru Usman is going to be a tall task, even if you've already managed to do it once before. So we are going to talk UFC 286, talk the preview with that, talk a little bit about BKFC postponing this weekend's date to April 21st. And we're also going to talk about some of what went down last night on AEW Dynamite, from the 4 pillars to the debut of La Loca Taya Valkyrie in AEW. And then we'll get over to the MMA side of things. Corey J-Bone, how the fuck are you?
I'm well.
I'm well. Yeah, doing well as well. I got to enjoy a bit of the weather break today. Got to get out for a little bit on the bike. Got my them taxes that you're always talking about people getting done. I got those done as well today. So got a couple things done. Got to enjoy the weather while it was nice, and hoping this spring comes soon, man. I know it officially starts, I think, sometime next week, but I'm ready, man.
Are you guys ready for St. Patty's Day tomorrow? Kyle, I can see you're already wearing your green.
I mean, I just thought I would color coordinate, but that being said,
let's be honest. Kyle's made of green. Let's go. Come on.
Whoa. I mean, I got a little change, but I'm not. He's
gonna tell us tonight how to put some money in our pockets, man. We're gonna get these UFC 286.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you how to put some money in your pockets. The last 2 weeks, my fingers are hot, so it's all right.
Let's go.
It's been hot, but hopefully I can stay hot and win me a little bit more money, because it's almost time to leave for LA. It's almost time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. J-Bone, how you feeling, bro?
Man, it's, the weather's getting better here. Things are getting better here in Michigan. I'm cool with that. I'm jealous as hell of you for going out to LA. I wish I could make that trip, but I trust you're gonna represent us well at Mania. I know you will.
In the suitcase, bro.
Dude, I will do it too. I will curl up in. Well, you know what? Let me lose about 30 pounds. I could probably get in one of those suitcases. We'll be all right.
Here's what
Nothing
you do.
to
Go
see
get
here.
You some laxatives at the drugstore, and we'll get you right on the road for it.
We'll get you right. We'll get you right for LA one way or another.
Hey, then you'll have all the room in the world for them margaritas you was drinking like in Las Vegas.
Boy, let's not talk about it.
What up, Chris?
What up, Chris? We don't need no
right.
repeat of the 32-ounce margaritas. Not in
Well,
Hollywood,
dude, when
man.
when you drink it in 30 seconds, I mean, it doesn't matter if you got a baby bladder or not. You were
Look, man, it's all going to the same place.
You were like the little kid who had to like cross his legs and cross his arms, like, oh my god, I don't know if I'm gonna make it.
It was bad. I thought I was gonna be drenched in Vegas, as they say. That's what it was gonna be.
Drenched.
I would have flooded Fremont Street if I didn't make it to the bathroom, dude. It was a rough time.
Shout out to Johnny at the Nerd Bar. We had a good time. The next time I'm in Vegas, I will make sure I stop back through there, kind sir.
Good time. Good time.
All right. Well, since there's less to talk about on that end of things, we might as well start with the pro wrestling end of things. What'd you think with AEW, J-Bone?
Dude, first of all, that trios match with the JAS and the Bucks and Kenny and House of Black, that is so much money there, no matter which way you go with it, first and foremost. So the fact that we finally got like that, I mean, they got to be the top 3 trios teams, right? I mean, there's not many, but trios wise, that's it, right? Top guys. So the fact that you get them all in the same ring, I thought that was great, and not a pay-per-view. I thought that was awesome.
The match was badass, but here's my thing though: they aren't the only trios champions. You've got the Ring of Honor 6-man champs and 2 past guests of the show that hold them bitches.
True.
Why aren't they fighting? They're all under. I mean, granted, there's Ring of Honor and then there's AEW, but you're all still under the AEW banner.
Do you think we get there?
Chris,
do you think
I agree with you? That match was completely dope. I'm not arguing that at all. All I'm asking you is, do you think that because you have the 2 6-man champions, I mean, shit.
I mean, obviously we still got the Blackpool Combat Club too in the mix. Like it's a lot of guys, it's a lot of action, and it's a lot of top tier guys. You know what I mean? That's one big thing. I like trios matches, where we got Kenny and Jericho in the ring.
That was dope.
At the same time. That was awesome. Nice little throwback to the New Japan thing and pretty much the roots of AEW. You know what I mean? So I thought that was cool to see. And a lot more questions than answers. We got Hangman in the ring with the Elite. Who knows what's happening
I
next,
think eventually they're gonna circle back around. I really do. I mean, you're not lying. The Kenny and Jericho stuff was dope. Like Jericho and Kenny are arguably the 2 best wrestlers from Winnipeg, you know, and then Don Callis being another one of Winnipeg's favorite sons over there on the commentary and all that too. I mean, dude, every time they got in the ring, there was that feeling of that aura of like, oh shit. Like, this is dope. When you get a holy shit chant from the crowd before they even fought each other.
Yeah. It means something.
That's telling you
it's one of those moments in wrestling. So
that was dope. I thought the match was dope. I think the right team won. House of Black, they're fucking sick, dude. Like,
dude,
I have been high on Brody King for quite a while, and dude, they are going to be some killers for a while. And like you said, they have a lot of good trios teams in AEW. So I feel like there's a lot of great matches that can still happen there. I mean, if you guys are watching this, if you guys got an idea on who you want to see next, and what do you guys think about my thoughts on the 6-man champs over there from ROH fighting them? We also
do you think we get there like with the Forbidden Door thing? Do you think that's where they go? Or do you think they I know Forbidden Door is going to be kind of like you want the New Japan stuff and just other companies, but do you think we get maybe the Ring of Honor trios versus the AEW trios type gig or what?
I think that would be dope, to be honest. But then you have the question of, since you're trying to keep Ring of Honor a separate brand, does doing that kill off the 6-man championships then?
Yeah. I mean, kind of going to hurt. You got to hurt one of the brands. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, if they do that, I guess that's the con to it, right? Because if you do that, and then let's say House of Black wins, and then they have all the belts, well, then why do they need to go? Yeah.
that would immediately turn Ring of Honor to like the B show, you know what I mean, type thing. With title wise, anyway, you're gonna make them look a little weaker, I would think.
I don't know. I mean, I still like the idea of the matchup, like especially with them both being trios champions, but at the same time, I can also see why you would stay away from it because you don't want, you don't want to lessen your other champions. We also had a debut in Canada of Taya Valkyrie making her AEW debut. First of all, before we get to that, what is up with these people that keep coming over to AEW and then they debut before they're even done up with Impact?
Yeah, I noticed that too.
She hasn't. They literally have a tag team title match at the next pay-per-view for Impact. Her and Rosemary do. I was watching Impact and that was on the thing, and she's already in AEW.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not like AEW hasn't already shown that you can, they would let people wrestle other places, but I'm just saying, like,
other places aren't usually other like televised type of like competition level places, not
Well,
yeah, I mean, that jumped out to me right away. I wondered what you thought about that.
In a sense, it's maybe just getting eyes on both products, like here's the deal. You're still here. You can go over there. You got to get more eyes over here type of thing, maybe. I don't know. But as far as where she debuted at, like on that against, I mean, we're talking that she's the best wrestler. What is her record now? 54-0?
Yeah, I think.
It's a tough spot to debut, man. It's a tough spot to debut because let's face it, I don't think she's going to be the one to knock her off. So,
Yes, but I also would say that I like the matchup because now Jade's finally going to really be in there with somebody for the belt that, like, not that she hasn't beaten, like, top talent, but I feel like she's kind of like, if this is like your Britt Baker, your Jamie Hayter, your Ruby Soho, your Saraya, and then down here you got your Willow Nightingales, you got your, ones like that are still on their way up. Not saying anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that she's kind of like right before you get to like the top tier of them. You know what I mean? So I feel like her facing Taya and a debuting Taya, I think is like a step up for her. So I really feel like that match can be badass. I'm a big fan of Taya. I think I like her whole vibe. I like her aura. I like her attitude. And it's crazy to think someone that's from Canada, she's another one who made her name in Mexico because, she got trained by Lance Storm and then went over there and did all the stuff with Perro Aguayo and Pentagon and Phoenix and all them over there in AAA and all that. And now, now for her to be in AEW, what do you think about her coming over from Impact, J-Bone? Do you think that this is going to be a better look for her? Do you think, she just blends into the roster? Do you think she's going to be able to stick out here? Because when she went to NXT, I was really fucking hopeful for that, and it just never seemed like she was able to do anything. But with AEW's division getting hotter, do you think she'll be able to be like another shining star out of it?
Yeah, I do. I mean, she's got the ring presence, dude. And honestly, she will bring out the best in Jade. You know what I mean? And like you said, it's going to be good because she's got a long way to go, though. It's not going to stop at Jade. She's got to take on Statlander. Like you said, there's so much talent there that's going to bring the best out of her, and she's going to bring the best out of them. But I guess the question is, like, what's happening with Impact, right? I mean, she's still got that tag match coming up, and it's like, where do we go? Are we going to do both things? Are we going to be signed to somebody? Like, I don't know where it's going to go, but I think it's a tough spot for her to debut. Like you said, it's going to be great. It's going to be a good match and all that if it happens like that, but we all know she's not going to win it, right? You would think she's not the one. It's going to take a special talent to take that belt off of Jade.
But I mean, you're talking about a multiple promotion champion. I mean, she was AAA champ, Impact champ. I mean, she's been champ everywhere she went, bro. And now she's over there in AEW. I mean, I feel like she could do well. We'll have to see what happens. I mean, we saw the same kind of thing with Toni Storm, except Toni Storm got to the main roster and then she left and came here too. So, I mean, I don't know, man, but I hope it goes really good for Taya because I've always been a fan of her work. Do you think it ends up being do you think it ends up being like, how do I word it? Like, do you think that this ends up being like a step up thing for her? Or do you think that she just ends up being another one on the roster?
I think it depends on how that match plays out. I mean, I think it's gonna be a good match, but I think that from a fan's perspective, that's where it's gonna matter. Is she gonna go out there and put on a great match? Is it gonna be believable that she's gonna beat her? So it all plays out after that. You know what I mean? Because if you just go out there and get laid out by Jade, just like everybody else, you're just another person on the roster. If you go out there and you make it seem like she's about to win or she could win this, now you're believable. That just puts you in line for the next step up in that women's division. But it all just remains to be seen, dude. It's tough to really predict because I just don't know if she's the one. You know what I mean? Like I can't. It's got to be a special one.
It's got like the Goldberg syndrome to it, and I mean that's kind of why I like the fact. Look, bro, it's J-Bone's favorite wrestler. If you wanted to know what to get him for his birthday, if you can find a vintage Goldberg shirt and send it to his house, I'm sure he would greatly appreciate it. But with that being said,
if we ever run into Goldberg, I'm dead. Just so you know, just so I can.
I mean, all that shit you talk, he's gonna be looking at you like he does Riddle. But I mean, that being said, though, that's why I like the fact that Taya hit Jade or hit Layla Gray with Jade's move.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like send that shot at her because everybody always marvels at the way that Jade's able to hit that Jaded move. Well, to have Taya just manhandle the shit out of Layla Gray as soon as she comes in and do the same thing, I feel like it kind of like established that like Taya's not going to just get thrown around.
Right.
So we'll see what happens, but I'm with you. I think it's a great matchup, but I really hope that Taya can be a standout for AEW because I really had hoped that we would see that, when she went to WWE. Obviously, it didn't really play out that way. But that being said, it's still AEW is really doing a lot to build their women's division. And I like to see that some of these women's divisions are really getting built up. I mean, you could say the same thing with NXT as well. Like NXT, we talked for a while how it just seemed like they were kind of all over the place. Now you got JC Jane and Gigi Dolan, doing their thing. You got Roxanne Perez, you got Zoe Stark, who is basically there and ready at any given time. So I like seeing it. And with AEW doing this with Saraya and Ruby Soho and Tony Storm and all the people that they're bringing in, I think the more names you can have places, it will only make those divisions better as a whole, in my opinion. So to me, it's not a bad thing. I just hope they're just not another number in the thing, but we'll see. The only other thing I wanted to get your thoughts on are, so we saw the 4 pillars, which if you guys are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You can see that we chatted with all 4 of those pillars at different events and things of that nature. But what do you think about the 4 pillars, bro? Like, where do you think they go? Do you think we see like a triple threat and then the winner faces MJF? Do you think we end up seeing like a 5-way scramble type thing? Like, because we saw Jungle Boy Jack, Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, and MJF out there. What do you think of the promo between them all, and how do you think it plays out?
First of all, that bucket hat is wild, ain't it?
Yo, that looks like a pimp. That looks like a pimped out, like camper, like fisherman's hat. Yeah, like, dog, dude. That looks like something like an old guy would buy and be like, "Look at this shit, I look cool." That's what that looked like to me.
As far as the promo and the match, like just
hey yo.
What up, Brock? I thought it was cool, man. We finally get the 4 pillars in the ring because, like we said, we always acknowledge it off camera and wrestling Twitter. It's always been acknowledged who the 4 pillars are, but we've never actually seen them all interact, on the main stage like that. And the fact that they're out there just shooting like that is a big deal. That's a big moment right there. But I wouldn't give it to the fans all at once. Yeah, you probably want to do a triple threat, get one of them in the title line against MJF, kind of back them off, because you don't want to give it to them all at once. Like I said, all these guys are young, all of them. That's the future of AEW right there, all 4 of them. So you don't want to put it all together right now, because that can make you money for a lot of years right there. I agree with Brock. Jungle Boy. I don't know if I want Jungle Boy to be first in line, because I don't think that title's coming off MJF anytime soon. And I think out of all of them, I think I want him to be the one to win it. But I think it needs to be later. Like, let's get Darby in there, have some good wrestling, get that out of the way. Let's get Sammy in there eventually. That'll be a great match.
Oh, I think they're all going to be there around the title at some point. But I think of the 4 of them, I agree with you. Maybe Jungle Boy, maybe like next up. Because I feel like when Sammy wins, it's going to be more in a situation where he's completely separated on his own. As we know, he's still part of the Jericho Appreciation Society. And then, like, with Darby, I think Darby will be there at some point too. But I think he's got to get more. He's got to get more of those big main event matches, like in the world title picture first, before they can really put him there. But I think Jungle Boy getting that win over Christian Cage and that whole feud and the other stuff he's already done, I think he's kind of ready in that next up guy if it is going to be one of the newer guys. But I agree with you. I don't know that I see the belt coming off of MJF anytime soon, because, you want to talk about truth and promos, bro. What MJF said about, you've literally got nothing on me at this point. I faced Danielson in an hour-long Iron Man match, 1. I faced CM Punk in a dog collar match, 1. He beat Chris Jericho. He's beaten pretty much all the big names and in every kind of match. So slowly but surely, they've done a good job of building around MJF to make sure people know he's not a pansy. But MJ looked like Rocky after the first fight with Apollo. Dude, he had 2 black eyes in his mug, had his sunglasses. Dude, I can't get over the hat though. And then, like, it took me watching it back the second. I was gonna say that it took me till the second time of watching it back until I realized, damn, why he's always got his hair done with like the mullet mohawk thing, and then I'm like, oh, it's because he's got his yarmulke on, because I forgot he said it was his bar mitzvah. So I don't know, dude. That was it was funny, but it was cool at the same time. Like, dude, MJF is going hard. And then, like, I liked the fact that they kind of went back and forth. I was surprised Sammy went into saying that Max keeps getting in all these, or MJF said something about Sammy getting in these backstage fights, and Sammy taking a shot at the fact that MJF's fiance left him, and he's trying to talk about people getting married and shit.
Shoot. I think that was a complete shootout there. Those guys, they gave him 4 microphones. They said, look, dude, you guys are going to be the future of this shit. Go out there, take however many minutes, make it worth it. Go out there and do your thing. And they did, man. I mean, that's the future right there.
They probably said, nothing's off limits here. We'll apologize after, because, he went and threw that at Sammy about maybe he'll be engaged to somebody else in 7 months, but Sammy clapping back with the fact that MJF's fiance left him. I always appreciate a little bit of levity, but I do agree, like, you need to keep it more on the like their issue at hand. But it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. Let us know in the comments, how do you guys want to see that play out, whether that's like a big scramble match or a triple threat match and the winner faces him, or how that plays out. But all right, we got a bunch of stuff on the combat sports end of things. Like Corey was talking about, he's got his taxes done. I've got my taxes done. Make sure you go check out G3 Payroll and Tax, and then maybe you can play some of them parlays that we're going to tell you about later on tonight. That being said, Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk agree to terms on a title fight. It's planned for April 29th at London's Wembley Arena per ESPN. What are your guys' thoughts on this fight? What are your thoughts on the split? Do you think the split is fair?
It is and it isn't, right? Because of the sense that, like, the biggest money draw by like tenfold. Well, at least in
Oh
their
shit!
eyes.
Brock's firing on the refs. It's not
I
wrong.
mean,
Hold on, before you go, Corey.
I
I
didn't
just
see it,
had to
I missed
say
it.
this because he said that. So okay, he said, "Is it just me or the inmates running the asylum? What control does Tony Khan have? What is the deal with the blind and stupid referees?" Dude, you hear a lot of people
they've been
complaining
bad
about the
that
referees
for a while with AEW.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say. And the only thing that really stuck out to me last night was I was like, in the match with Jeff Jarrett and Jeff Jarrett in it, because they're fighting all over the arena and like hitting each other with fucking trash cans. And I'm like, is there not a count or a DQ or something? Or
DQs and
like,
count outs here,
are we just saying fuck it all? You know,
They're both out at the same time. No need to count.
Yeah.
so I totally get that, and you're not the first person to hear say that. You know, shout out to our guys on Busted Open. You know, we hear them bully talk about that all the time. All in all, dude, it wasn't anything that was like a super big thing, you know, but like especially like in the trios match situation, because like you said, J-Bone, that match was still fucking great. But
yeah.
at the same time, like I like that they have more latitude, but like it's like, how do I put it? Like it's noticeable enough to see, because like even if WWE sometimes you'll see them like where obviously if it's like a street fight or something like that, obviously the rules are a lot more lax. Even if they gotta to find their way around it, it just seems like they do it smoother. In AEW, sometimes it just seems like it's like fuck the rules, just fight everywhere. Which I mean, it's definitely ECW style, but like at the same time, it like it is something that's like noticeable enough that you sometimes are going like, damn, so what the fuck?
Yeah, it might not be noticeable to like the the average fan, but for us as diehards, yes, it's definitely noticeable.
No,
Come on, man,
even
we've been
to
doing
the-
this our whole life.
Even to the casuals like myself, it's noticeable because I've
Yeah.
I've noticed it in a couple matches where I'm watching some of their events with Kyle and stuff like, hey, what the like, hey, they definitely should have caught this. Oh, they definitely
Yeah.
Kenny Omega versus
I've had Kyle pointed out many times while we're sitting there watching. They're like, they're just not following the rules whatsoever. There's just like they don't. It would be one thing if they laid out the rules that this is a X, Y, and Z, so it doesn't matter if they do X or Y, but they don't do that. They just kind of roll with the punches sometimes, so it comes off in a way like you guys are saying.
Yeah. No, you're right. Hopefully they get better
I agree with what you said. Malachi and Kenny Omega eventually at some point is going to be badass. I'm 110% down with that and would love to see that one. I feel like that one's got banger written all over it. But yeah, I'm not going to keep harping on the fucking referees. But to answer your question, yes, I definitely recognize that shit too. But at the same time, but with Tommy Fury and Tyson Fury.
You got Tommy.
Yeah, Tommy Fury stepping in and gonna fight Usyk. He said, "Fuck it, I beat Jake Paul. I can beat them all." But that being said, it's gonna be Usyk and Tyson Fury. I like this fight. I want to see this fight because after this fight, I feel like there's not really anything left for Tyson Fury to do.
Okay. I agree because he's beat most of the
Who's
other
left?
content.
Unless you're going to fight Francis Ngannou.
Unless he's going to fight Francis, unless Anthony Joshua actually gets a win so he can them guys can fight each other.
I don't even want to see that now.
Yeah, at this point, I kind of feel the same way you
I don't
do.
want to see that now because there's no reason for him to be in there.
Well, okay, granted, because the person that he's facing now is the dude that beat him twice, so it really makes Anthony Joshua look like a lesser. But if Usyk goes out there and does a solid performance, and all of a sudden you start to question, like, hey, maybe Usyk's just that guy, and maybe if Anthony Joshua had a chance, there's still storylines that could be made, is what I'm getting at here. But how we were talking about the split earlier, money-wise and stuff, the 70-30 thing, man, I get it. I really do. I mean, one's the more active boxer, so he's still making a significant chunk of change. I think people are making a lot out of the 70-30 thing, but it's still going to be the biggest potential payday that Usyk would be able to find, I believe, out there at the moment, at least. So, plus you say it's at Wembley Stadium. It's going to take they're going to sell that place out, I would imagine, very quickly. And I don't know if Usyk would be able to do that based upon his own merit or whatever, where I feel like involving somebody like a Tyson Fury, yeah, it's going to cost you money in this instance, 20% basically off the top, but I mean, you're still going to sell like crazy. So
Corey has left the building. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, I is my chat. Did you guys at least heard me right while I was going?
Yes, yeah, we heard you.
I didn't want to give up on it in case I got cut out.
It was weird. It like the whole screen lagged out for a second, ladies and gents. I don't know what the fuck that was,
but to your point, Kyle, I really do enjoy the matchup, or at least I'm glad that this is the direction they're going. Tyson Fury being the lineal champ still, and not having lost it, and just kind of had stepped away from the game. I feel like it's for Usyk, it's a not put up or shut up, but it's like, do you want to be really regarded as the top guy? Okay, then here he is. And for Fury, it's like, this is now the new number one, essentially, besides yourself, and go in there and prove you're still one. And so I love the matchup. For boxing, it's great. I feel like boxing's been making some solid steps lately. Between that and the Garcia and Tank fight, they've been making some solid steps, man.
it's good to be seeing some of these fights happening. I think it's going to be a good fight. I mean,
yeah,
we already talked about Detroit's own Tony Harrison going over there and stepping up against Costa Tszyu. Like I said, I agree with you. I'm glad to see some good fights going in boxing. You know, did you guys hear the other piece of news? What do you think about Adrian Broner signing with Don King?
He's still in the game.
I didn't know
Yes,
Don
he
King
just
was still
signed with
around.
Adrian Broner.
I did not know he was still in the game.
Well,
And of all people to kind of try to like tie yourself to, I mean, it's like two, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's
Eccentric?
two like very divisive figures, two like people you either like look at very negatively or you enjoy them for some reason, and I'm not one of them people. So I'm kind of like, Adrian Broner like blew away so many chances to be one of the top level boxers.
He
and
was
still
the savage when he first came out.
and he's still making millions to go out there and fight these people and stuff, but he can't even make it to a fight because he's too busy popping fucking drug tests for fucking 4 or 5 steroids at a time. So, you know, like I don't know. You know, and then you sign with
now he's
somebody
got
like
the
King.
nostalgic Don King, man. Come on.
Yeah, and then you sign with somebody like King, man. It's just like it doesn't scream confidence. It seems like he's just trying to work his way around a system that's already corrupt with somebody that knows how to work the corrupt system. So
corruption.
I don't know, man. I don't really see that being like a fruitful I don't really see that being a fruitful thing.
No.
Speaking of not being fruitful, what were your thoughts on I mean, we don't know the why of it. It's all speculation. Only thing I've seen so far is that this weekend's BKFC event has now been rescheduled to April 21st. Only thing I can assume is something with the venue, but damn, does that gotta suck on the day of weigh-ins?
Yeah. Well, was it day of weigh-ins or was it? I think
It was today, and the fight was tomorrow.
Well, I think they officially announced that it was delayed yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
I didn't see anything till today.
Oh, okay.
So as of now,
there's
there's nothing on record stating as to why. It's just
I've seen. They didn't say in there other than circumstances out of our control.
Yeah, that was their official statement, and then they said that anybody that was unable to attend the event that's at a later scheduled date will get refunded, tickets and so on and so forth. So they're going about it right with all the fans and stuff like that. I know paid subscriber over here, I was excited as hell for those fights, so I'm kind of bumming that we got to wait an extra month. I hope the card remains what it was. But BKFC, honestly, I feel like they've done a great job. And if I'm not mistaken, this is their first canceled event. This is the first one that I can think of, at least. And it does kind of seem like something out of their control. I know the official narrative hasn't came out yet, but it kind of seems like me and you, Kyle, were saying, it kind of seems like maybe a venue issue or something like that came up. And if that's the case, it is what it is. Maybe plumbing issue arose and the building flooded or something, who knows? Who knows what it could have been, but I feel like BKFC at least did the best thing they could where they immediately came out. I don't know, what their timeline is or whatever, but they came out. And it's just unfortunate for all the athletes, man. Imagine putting on that training camp, cutting weight, getting ready. You're either a day out or on day of. You've been in Florida for a couple days if you're traveling from out of town and stuff, and then all of a sudden, carpet's pulled out from underneath you, man.
Yeah.
That's got to be a rough
BKFC has been on a good momentum wave, and for that to happen, that kind of sucks, man. But hopefully it's nothing major. I guess, like you guys said, maybe a venue thing, or I couldn't think of what else it would be, unless a mass amount of fighters didn't make weight, or couldn't make weight, or couldn't make it, or something. I don't really know, but
maybe something like that. Maybe some type of cancellation. I don't know. I honestly don't know what it could be. It's just that's the first thing that comes to my mind is a venue issue. Something, something came up where all of a sudden they had to do some serious work inside the venue or something like that. It's the only thing I could think of.
It couldn't be anything as far as streaming, could it? Can we say
no, because they do all that through their own app, so I don't think that would be an issue in that regards. Maybe it was an athlete thing, like you said, but I feel like I could be wrong on this one, but I feel like bare knuckle of all the organizations out there wouldn't be the most stringent on weight classes if that's what was holding them back from being able to hold an event, especially one that they claim was sold out. So I don't know.
I try to recollect. I remember UFC a couple years ago. Didn't they have to scrap an entire pay-per-view because of a situation where was it a few fighters couldn't make weight or didn't or something? I don't remember, but
there was kind of two different situations involving John Jones. A long time ago, I forget numbers because I'm dyslexic as hell, but they tried to get him to fight Chael Sonnen on short notice, and that didn't end up going through. So that ended up postponing a pay-per-view. And then the most recent one, though, was when he was supposed to fight Gus the second time. He popped in Nevada, and they moved it to California 2 days out or a day out or some shit. It was week of for sure. I don't remember exact dating, but it was. That was definitely a big thing.
Like I say, it's just a bummer for them because it's a shit look, but it's something. Stuff happens as long as it's not anything that because they did something wrong or messed it up. It is what it is. Yeah. But Brock, you hit the nail on the head. UFC 286. I don't know, Corey. We got to link up for this fucking thing. I want to see this fucking fight. I think it's going to be a great fight. I've already got my money on some parlays. I'll let you know what I'm laying out as far as parlays, and we will make some picks on the UFC. Obviously, Brock told us in the comments who he's looking forward to with Usman and Edwards. J-Bone, how are you feeling about UFC 286?
Oh, man, we're going to get rich this night. We're going to make some – well, we ain't going to get rich, but – we're going to make some money Saturday night, man. Got a loaded card.
I like it. Speak that shit into existence. I need some LA money. Yeah. You know them Ubers are about to take my savings.
Yeah, you can be in Hollywood. You can be lifting and Ubering all over the place.
$120, 10-minute ride.
Yeah. Kyle's going to come back and be a movie star. They're going to just catch him on the strip. Like, hey, You want to be in this
movie
movie?
star or broke?
Just get you some shitty little electric scooter, Kyle, and just take it with you, and then just get a lock.
Oh yeah,
and
because they're
knock
gonna
it
let
up
me
every
take that on
weekend.
an airplane.
Yeah, they'll let you do it in
No,
carry-on,
the
I
fuck
would
they
imagine.
won't.
Oh, you see Kyle just on a little motorized fucking
You can't take
Razor.
lithium batteries
Little
on an
Razor just
airplane. I
cruising
work
the
at the
Sunset
post
Strip.
office. I know these things.
Just
Yeah,
cruising the
they
strip
get
on
shipped
a
one way or
Razor.
another.
Yeah, I mean they might, but I don't know. That would be pretty sketchy. I mean, I like the commitment because Bulletproof Troop told me to come through Black House MMA and come train with him. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to go make some runs. Maybe one of these days, one of y'all come with me and come train, or you could just do like J-Bone and just fucking videotape the shit and bullshit with Moxley, which I'm not mad at you, but
I gotta know my limits. Man's got to know his limits.
we didn't
Still
even
sounds
do
like a good
anything.
time.
Look,
We
let me
didn't
just
do
tell you,
anything
if I would
fight-wise.
have got on the mats with you at Extreme Couture, or I'd have partaked in any of that, it would have been a very, very bad trip for me. So
He'd have been sore as shit the next day. And shit.
you'd have
Shit,
been
I
pushing
was
me
sore
around in a
too. What are you
wheelchair.
talking about?
You'd have been pushing me around
Exactly.
in a wheelchair while I'm slamming double margaritas. You'd have to wheel me to the bathroom, dude.
Look,
Be glad it didn't happen.
dude, Jeff Jarrett trying to stick his hands in his tights and kick Orange Cassidy is pretty fucking retarded and funny looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, UFC 286, dude. I'm looking
Mhm.
forward to that shit. I
Yeah,
got the
super
card
excited,
pulled.
man.
I got the fights pulled up here. As far as the prelims, not any like major standouts to where I'm like, yo, this fight's crazy.
What?
That's on the prelims. There's a couple, to be honest, on the early prelims that I'm looking forward to more than
Mhm.
some of the stuff that's on the regular prelims. Like I feel like Joanne
Yeah.
Wood versus Luana Carolina and
That should be a
Juliana
fun
Miller versus Veronica Macedo is going to be a couple of fights to look at. I mean,
That's
to be honest,
Not to interrupt, but since you brought that up, that's one I did want to bring up. I was kind of surprised with the card placement, just being the fact that Juliana Miller coming straight off the tough win. This is her debut in the organization. I feel like they've been doing these tough winners pretty dirty, man. They've been putting them right at the bottom of the card pretty much every time. And you'd think if they're still trying to do this and give it a real push in the organization, they'd give these guys a little more push when they get in here. And it's just, I don't know, surprising.
well,
to me,
you
but
always
go on,
hear
Kyle.
what they talk about with the tough contracts, bro. I mean, they don't get signed to big contracts off
Yeah,
the rip, really.
but they get a big push though. They get a big initial like media push. People know their names. Like you said, Kyle, you're excited for that matchup basically just because you had watched her perform in her tough season. Like you wouldn't have, otherwise you may have not known who she was even if you did know her background. So I feel like for those type, if you're going to do the whole game show reality show format thing and make
Shout
it
out
this
to our
whole,
guy
like,
Mondo Gutierrez. Go win that motherfucker.
yeah, go win that shit because even if you are opening the card, man, you're in the UFC and you're making some money that's hopefully going to change your life eventually. But either way, I would just like to see these people get a little bit more of a push. Is all I wanted to say. But go on in with your analysis of the card, Kyle.
I like I said, man, those are the two fights that I'm honestly looking forward to most on the prelims.
Jake Hadley, Malcolm Gordon. That should be a fun one. While we're on the early prelims, that should be a real fun one. I feel like the Lerone Murphy versus what was initially supposed to be Nathaniel Wood. That one was going to be. That was like my favorite. One of my favorite fights of the undercard, that's for sure. But that one got canceled. Now we got Lerone Murphy taking on LFA champ. So it should be still a fun fight. But I was really looking forward to that one. But that's about it,
right? If I can remember correctly, those guys are both undefeated.
Yeah, they were both. They are both undefeated. They're both from England. They're both killers in the weight class. It was one of those like you couldn't have made a better matchup for a undercard, build up type of fight. And then Nathaniel Wood, I don't know if you've seen the video come out on social media, but he about flayed his knee open, pretty damn well. So yeah, hopefully they end up running this one in the future if Lerone Murphy's able to get the win come Saturday. But
I think the card itself, the main card itself, it's got me definitely interested.
yeah,
Undercard isn't as stacked, but
yeah,
let's
it's all right.
let's talk
But yeah,
let's talk about this main card. So
mhm.
first fight, you got Roman Dolidze versus Marvin Vettori. Now, I have been saying Roman Dolidze is that motherfucker for a while. If you go back and look, I've been saying it, and every time I've said it so far, he's gone in there and shut somebody up. I've been telling
Yep.
people momentum is a real damn thing, and I feel like that's going to carry him through in this fight that we have this weekend. I believe Roman Dolidze is going to put it on Marvin Vettori.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, man. I don't know though, because I feel like
I think this is
Marvin
going to
Vet-
tell us a lot about Vettori, though.
Yeah,
Either
it is.
Vittori's going to go in there and show that he's still the top echelon, and Dolidze's got a little bit left to go, or Dolidze is going to go in there and do what he's been doing and catch a motherfucker slipping.
So I feel like the whole thing is, right, like you've seen him talk about it a couple times on the broadcast and stuff with the Roman Dolidze. Bisping made fun of him essentially for not being an entertaining fighter, and now all of a sudden he's knocking everybody the hell out because he took that to heart. Right? Like it's a pretty entertaining story, right? But
Yep.
I feel like if that's your style, going against somebody in Marvin Vettori who is damn near impossible to get out of there. I mean, Israel Adesanya was landing just shot after shot on him, pretty straight.
Yeah, but could the
and accurate.
accumulation of all those shots be a problem now against this young buck who's got some power and is coming in there to knock somebody's head off?
Could be. And Roman Dolidze is that guy that can do that. He showcased that in his last couple fights, man, and he's put out very big and strong guys in those fights, like Phil Haas. I mean, that was a leg injury, so it was a little different, but it was still vicious, man. That was a real.
He's been
fight.
putting it on at most people that he's been getting, and it's
Yeah,
like I
and
also kind of akin it to like what we were talking about with like Jalen Turner. Like Jalen Turner, even though he didn't win that last fight, he stepped up and showed that he's been in there. I believe that there's a lot to be said about momentum because I think that sometimes can overdo skill a little bit just because you have that confidence that you know you can do it. That being said, who do you guys pick in this fight? Are you going to Dolidze? Or are you saying
well,
are you
to finish off my point real quick? I feel like Marvin Vettori, like you were saying, maybe he's the more proven talent, but I feel like Roman Dolidze, his last fight, in my opinion, was his big step up. That Jack Hermanson fight, I thought that was like, hey, you're going against a top level contender. Let's see where you're at. If you're going to beat this guy, then do it, and we'll see where you're at after that. And he fucking ran through Jack Hermanson, and I was genuinely surprised about that fight. I was really like, Jack Hermanson's one of my guys. He may not be the most entertaining, but he always is game, and he just didn't have it for him in that fight. So because of that reason, I feel like, to your point, Kyle, the momentum is so much there. I got to kind of lean towards Roman. But Marvin Vettori, he's a gamer, man. He's so hard to get out of there, and he's just always in your face with punches and stuff. So I don't know. He could upset it, but that momentum is hard to go against at the moment, at least.
all right, J-Bone, who you got?
I'm taking Dolidze, man. It's tough. It's tough because I'm gonna betting wise, I'm gonna take the prop on this. I'm gonna take him by TKO, but like you guys said, man, Vettori, it's tough because 11 out of the last 13 fights for Vettori have been decision or a draw. One draw, 12 decisions, or 11 decisions. It's kind of crazy. Dude's got a head like a rock, but you got Dolidze coming in 3 TKOs in a row. The guy's riding that momentum wave, and it's real, dude. So, hey, Vittori's lost the past 2 out of 3. It could be a downfall for him. All he's got to do is get caught slipping one time, and Dolidze can finish him, dude. So I'm going to take Dolidze on this one.
Yeah.
By
But
TKO.
his losses are against Robert Whittaker and Israel Adesanya. Literally like the top guys in the division.
The top guys. Yeah.
we'll see where Roman Dolidze is at going out of this one, man. It's such an interesting matchup.
He wins
Hey,
this
what a
fight.
way to
He
open up the
jumps.
card, though, right? If I'm reading this right, that's the first fight on the main card.
It is.
That's a hell of a way to open up a card. That's gonna
And
be
I mean, if
fireworks.
he wins that immediately puts him in the top 5. You know, he's got another big fight coming. So,
Yeah.
And we've seen how quick Pereira got that slingshot towards the title. I mean, he might not have.
well, I mean, there's not a lot of guys left for Izzy if you know if he beats Pereira, and then Pereira, you know, there's a lot of guys for him to beat, but because of how dominant Izzy was, it kind of cleared out a lot of the division. So, you know, until they get through this fight with Izzy, 85's kind of on freeze. But if Dolidze can win this, he's right in the thick once it's out of it.
Oh, for sure.
The next fight you got Casey O'Neill versus Jennifer Maia. I don't know, man. Casey O'Neill's been doing her thing, but I kind of feel like I got Jennifer Maia in this one.
Oh, really? See, I feel like Casey O'Neill brings that violence that you don't always see women bring in the UFC or in MMA in general. She just has that mean streak about her where she actually looks like she's going in there to win a fight and not just necessarily win a competition. Because there's definitely a difference, and I feel like when you just see her like attitude, not attitude, because I don't even feel like that's the right word. It can be viewed bad, but her I did it-ness at the end of the fight. Like you can really see like she enjoys what she's doing. You know, like I don't know, man. I feel like this is a tough fight for Jennifer Maia because her whole game has been mostly reliant on getting girls down and controlling position. And I feel like Casey O'Neill, being the taller, lengthier girl, is going to be hard to get down. We've seen people try to do that in the past, and she's done a really good job of circling out and stuff from it. I feel like my biggest question is, how is Casey O'Neill doing coming off the knee injury? That's my biggest question. How does she return? Is she as elusive as she was before and stuff like that? Is she able to kind of throw with the same tenacity that she was able to before? But I lean towards Casey O'Neill in this one. I just feel like how we were saying with the last fight, that momentum. I understand the momentum train may have died off a little bit because of the injury, but I just feel like the ceiling's higher there, and that's kind of why I picked my lean that direction.
All right, J-Bone, who you got?
I'm with Corey on this one, man. I'm taking Casey O'Neill. She's won her past 4, only 4 fights in the UFC. She's won them all. I think she's gonna finish this one though. I feel like I know it's tough. It's tough because I'm thinking betting wise in all these fights, right? I know I'm chasing the money, but I want to see her finish it. I want to see her finish this fight. I think she will. I'm gonna take Casey O'Neill on this one.
I'm just saying, bro. You can get you a WrestleMania ticket on that secondary, boy.
hey, if I win a couple bands, dude, I'm right behind you. Me and Lily, we're flying.
Are you gonna dry spirit again?
No, I won't. That's never gonna happen again. Fuck spirit.
You heard it. Fuck spirit. Get with Delta. But with that being said, the next fight that we got on UFC 286, where we got to hope that these parlays hit, you got Gunnar Nelson versus Brian Barberena. It's gonna be a tough fight, dude. I think Barberena obviously has the power that he can go in there and he could lay him out, but at the same time, Gunnar Nelson is just so awkward that I just feel like that's going to be the difference in this fight. Who do you guys got?
I agree with you. I just feel like so many people, when they talk about Gunnar Nelson, I feel like they have like reminiscent eyeballs, or however you want to word that. They're viewing it from a past light and not necessarily his most recent performances. And I feel like when you look at what he's done as of late and kind of like his, I don't want to say his lack of firepower is really what's been killing me with his last couple fights and stuff. He just doesn't seem like he's had that same, like with what I was just saying with Casey O'Neill. he doesn't seem to have that, like, I'm going to go in here and, like, put it on my opponent, do whatever I have to do to win this fight. It seems like he's going in there more as a competition base, and it just hasn't been working out for him as much as of late. I know he's now coming off a win in that I just looked at his record, but Takashi Sato fight, which looking back and trying to remember that one, it was a good fight, but it was very competitive, and I felt like Gunnar Nelson skill-wise was much better than Takashi Sato, but it was a much closer fight than the skills played out to be. And before that, he was losing on the upper echelon of the division, and then he's coming off a huge layoff. I feel like Brian Barberena, he's one of those guys that he goes in and either his game plan works and he lays his pressure on people and eventually lands them a couple big shots that either hurts him or gets him down to the ground and then gets the finish from there, or he doesn't. And I feel like this is one of those fights where his game plan's going to work. I feel like the Gunnar Nelson hostility or not hesitancy is going to really hurt him in this fight when you got somebody like Barberena being a barbarian essentially and chasing after him and, you know, bringing that pressure onto him.
Who you got, J-Bone?
See, I think the only downfall here for Barberena is as he took this fight on short notice. You know, I mean, you got Gunnar Nelson, hometown guy, and you're right. His last two losses were against, you know, upper echelon guys, Gilbert Burns and Leon Edwards, and that big layoff, man. That's a big thing. You know what I mean? And Barberena's very active, so I feel like if he could just put his foot on the gas, he should be able to take this one home. So that's a tough one. That's a toss up for me, but I think I'm gonna take Barberena on this one.
I think if Barberena wins, he's winning by knockout.
Yeah.
That being said, I think I'm going to go Gunnar Nelson on this one. I think
if he wins, he gets knocked out. But if he doesn't get knocked out, he's winning.
I'm gonna tell you how he's gonna win. I'm gonna predict it doesn't happen.
I mean, I'm just saying. I think. I mean, if he loses, he's going to get knocked the fuck out. But
well, look at what he did to what Barberena did to Robbie Lawler, right?
I agree, but Robbie Lawler was also a lot older, though.
A lot older, but I feel like it's the same type of tendencies, right, with Gunnar Nelson, where he.
I agree, which is why I'm saying I think there's a real good chance he could knock him out. And quite frankly, I might even throw money on him to win by knockout because if he wins, I think that's how he's going to win. But
right.
I also think there's something to be said for the competition difference, like you said, when you talk about the only losses that Gunnar Nelson's had are to that type of talent. So I think Gunnar Nelson wins, but I think that if he loses, I got a feeling it could very well be devastating.
If he loses, he gets slept, Kyle.
If he wins, he gets 2 checks. If you don't, you get slept. Spin the wheel, make the deal. It's like Halloween Havoc. Spin the wheel, make the deal. Knock him out, you get knocked out. 2 checks or none. Send it. With that being said, let's send it to the next fight. You got Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev. Man, this fight has got banger written all the fuck over it.
Before you go into your analyst hat here, I want to pose you guys the question on this one. What's your chances of Gaethje in this fight? Like, realistically, do you guys view it as like he's the underdog, that he's the one kind of like, or do you think he's the upper echelon of the division and he's going to rightfully claim his spot coming out of Saturday? Because I feel like this is such an interesting matchup at 55. A division that normally doesn't allow new contenders into the top 5, to be frank. But let's hear your answers, boys.
J-Bone, you go first.
For me, man, I think Gaethje, the problem here is he's going to lean on that exciting fighter thing right now. You know what I mean? Everybody knows he's probably the most exciting fighter in that division, but you are fighting perhaps the most dangerous striker in that division. So to stand up with that guy, I don't think that doesn't have a lot of good news. I mean, all it takes is one punch, right? I mean, we know how the game is. All it takes is one. But I don't think this is the one, Gaethje. You need to lean on something else. Work your strategy somewhere else. Maybe get him down. Try to keep him down. Take him the distance if you have to. Just get the win, because I don't think you want to stand up with this guy, because the past 6 fights, look, they've all fallen. It ain't been pretty, man. So I don't think you got the momentum wave, and you got the guy that could sit there and just snipe you out. I don't think you want to stand there and do that. But pride on Gaethje's side, I think that's going to say that he's going to stand and bang with this guy. And I don't think it ends well for Gaethje if he does that.
Yeah, it's okay. Sorry, go ahead.
You're good. I'd say I think the same thing, to be honest. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Justin Gaethje, and I think he has the wrestling to be able to make this a tough fight too.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, I just with the way he fights, I think he's going to try to bang it out. And if he takes a minute to get going against a guy like Fiziev, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah. One thing I thought was from a guy that doesn't always make the best of points, but Brendan Schaub made a point because he used to train with Trevor Whitman back in the day, and he said Trevor Whitman is exclusively a boxing coach. That is his main game plan for every single fight that he's ever fought for Trevor Whitman under was boxing, boxing, boxing. And for somebody like Gaethje, who all of us as an MMA community basically all say that Gaethje would be so great if he just would implement a little bit more of his wrestling and actually use the things that make him a top level athlete and not just go in there and like throw hands and make it exciting every time. We all agree that that's entertaining, but there's more strategic ways that he can implement his game in there is what I was
okay, but hold on a minute. So I understand that I've not trained with Trevor Whitman. Okay, maybe Trevor Whitman might just be, mainly a striking coach. But dude, when you're training in the same room as a guy like Kamaru Usman for a title fight,
right?
Like, you can't tell me that those guys aren't training other shit, whether it's with Whitman or somebody else. Because if that's the case, then Rose Namajunas would have been fucked a while ago too. So I mean, yes, I can see there being a point to what Brendan Schaub said, but at the same time, I don't know how much weight I put into that because either way,
I'm sure he's got specialized coaches for wrestling. I'm sure he's got specialized coaches for jiu-jitsu. All the top level athletes and stuff do. But I'm just saying the fact that his head coach isn't necessarily as much of a MMA coach as is more of a boxing coach from somebody who's at least trained underneath him. I found it a very interesting point. And you can even see that in the transition in Kamaru Usman's game and stuff like that. And even kind of to your point with Rose, you haven't seen her use her ground game in a very long time. If anything, you kind of seen that was the downfall of her losing her title, is she was so scared to even try to implement her ground game, which was probably a more superior ground game than Carla Esparza's. But either way, it's such an interesting thing. And then on top of that, the Trevor Whitman thing, and he always finds a way to get multiple of his athletes competing on the same night. And I feel like it kind of takes a bit away from being able to properly game plan for these fights a bit. I may be thinking too deep into that, but I feel like if you have literally the co-main event fighting for his top 3 spot in his division, and then a former champion fighting to regain his belt, maybe you'd want to split those up over different nights. So you're
I disagree. Here's why. Because having been in those rooms where there's multiple guys who are getting ready for a fight, I feel like a lot of times you end up getting better training because you've got that mindset in the room. Everybody's getting ready for a fight. You got a guy like Kamaru who's getting ready for a title fight, and a guy like Gaethje who's fought for a title before, so he knows what that mindset's like. I think you get 2 guys in a room like that, and you get that kind of energy like that, and you're both getting ready to fight, or insert whoever, whether we're talking about Rose or whoever it is. Yeah. In my opinion, if you're training in that same aspect, plus it's also kind of like, even though there's a lot of people who are like, oh, MMA is not a team sport, it does kind of have a different feeling when you can walk in there and there's multiple of you guys who are getting ready to go fight. It's like that having my team behind me, we're getting ready to go to war kind of mindset. So I don't think that is a hindrance. I think that depends on the fighter as a whole. But in my opinion, I think I like that energy.
I understand that viewpoint, but I feel like I at least hold mine. I would want it to be like very focused. You know, like you say, you can fight 2 weeks from now on the next pay-per-view, 3 weeks from now on the next pay-per-view, because we're still grinding together. We'll get training partners together, do the whole thing. But you know, I feel like it should be more center focused at this level. But either way, to digress onto the fight, I feel like how you guys said, Fiziev, man, he's been deadly out there, and he's been so hard to hit. He's been really taking all these guys out on his now ascension towards the top 3 of the division. And looking back at some of his fights, I was just looking at his record while you guys were going, and other than really his Bobby Green fight, man, I feel like every other fight's been just dominance for the most part. That Bobby Green fight was a little different because Bobby Green was able to dodge and be a little more elusive, but I feel like that's not Gaethje. Gaethje's not elusive like a Bobby Green. So I feel like that's the type of style you would need to bring as somebody who has an incredible counter game, because I feel like Bobby Green almost was he was real close to being able to pull that one off in that fight. But I don't know, man. Fiziev, to your point, I think the best game plan is maybe somebody like a Oliveira or somebody against him that can deal with the striking, but also implement their takedowns and their jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. And if we don't see that type of game plan out of somebody like Gaethje, it's going to be potentially a long night. But the human highlight reel always brings fun, and I don't think he's just going to get tagged and get put to sleep or something like that. I think he's definitely going to bring the fight to him. I just feel like Fiziev is the higher level striker out of the two, and we're going to probably see a striking fight. So I lean that direction, but at the same time, man, I feel like Gaethje has the skills and the explosiveness to be able to get this done. He
Totally.
really
I love Justin Gaethje. I just something about this matchup feels like it could be the kryptonite for me, because Fiziev has the power to be able to knock him out if it doesn't go Gaethje's way. And I don't see Gaethje coming in there with the mindset that he's right. And I don't see Gaethje coming in there with the mindset to wrestle like that off of what you just said with Trevor Whitman and them. I do not see him trying to wrestle. Those leg
kicks could eat him up, though. Those leg kicks could eat him up. Don't forget Gaethje be chopping legs in there. So
I'm not taking anything away from Gaethje. Yeah. I think this might be the fight that might be the best one on the card. But I'm just saying, like, this is a dangerous style again with that momentum, like I talked about with the Leadze. This could be a problem. So I don't know. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how that plays out. How do you got this one, J-Bone? You got Gaethje or Fiziev?
I'm taking Fiziev by TKO. Let's go.
All right. Main event time, motherfuckers. Leon Edwards. Can he shock the world again against Kamaru Usman, because he's still a plus 195 underdog on the odds?
Am I going to go from a seated position, barely paying attention to the fight, to like almost lulling myself out of it, like, oh, Kamaru Usman's got another, Kamaru Usman type of victory, where it wasn't when he gets the knockouts, they're super entertaining and stuff, because of course he's able to get that, but when he's wrestling control and dominant against the fence and stuff like that, it's not always those. And I was sitting back in my chair just bullshitting, and then all of a sudden, whap, it took me completely out. I'm standing, I'm yelling. The whole world changed there for a little bit. And I'm very curious if now with the whole retaining type of thing, instead of and new, he'll be and still. It's like I was saying, why can't I think of his name right now? Who we had on Tuesday, I can't think of his name.
Big Lon from High Rollers. Check out High Rollers BJJ. They're coming back here to Detroit. They're going to have some wrestling type shit. I am looking forward to that, and stay tuned, because it might be some cool stuff. Anyway.
Yeah, definitely shout out High Rollers. Shout out Big Lon. Good people. It was an entertaining show. If you guys missed it, go check out Tuesday's show for sure. But to finish my point on that one, man, does he shock the world again? Is it still even shocking the world if he does it again? I feel like if he does it in the same nature, of course, it'll be incredibly shocking. But like I was saying with Lon on Tuesday, man, I feel like there was so many things that played into that first fight being what it ended up being before even the knockout. The knockout changed the whole narrative and it changed the whole division. It changed so many things. But the fight before that, I felt like there was so many things where Leon Edwards had significant chances to do really well in that fight and just wasn't allowing himself to do it. And Big Lon brought up the altitude. That could have very well been it. Somebody that trains in England and is not used to going above sea level by much, and then all of a sudden goes up in the mountains to go fight for 5 rounds. That could definitely be the reason. He wrestled heavy in that first round. I'm sure that gassed his cardio a bit. But it showed me a lot in that second fight. I keep saying first fight, but it was really the second because Kamaru got the victory in the first one back in the day. But they've changed so much since then. We're just going to call this one what it is. And this is now the second important battle between the two. Of course, if Kamaru Usman gets it done, he rightfully owns the 2-3, but I digress. Either way, I feel like it's just such a big matchup. It's such a pivotal moment for Kamaru Usman's career. Does he really belong or among the upper echelon guys? Is he really like the king of this division? And it was just a fluke knockout in the 5th round, and he's going to go on to win and beat other guys and retain his title? Or is Leon Edwards really that guy, and he just wasn't able to turn it on until the 5th round when he kind of was able to catch his wind again and then finally throw a Hail Mary out there? It's such an interesting dynamic. Being in the now champion's hometown, it adds another layer to it, man. It's just,
And
I
the
don't know which
altitude, like
direction
you
to
talked
go.
about on Tuesday.
Huh?
And the altitude, like you talked about on Tuesday.
Yeah, that altitude, man. That altitude's a real thing. That altitude, like, really changed the dynamic of that first fight, I feel like. That's what I was saying right there with the, like, I feel like he was kind of charging up for what he was able to do in that 5th round, essentially. You know, he needed every little bit that he could from defending him off all the previous 4. So I don't know, man. It's such an interesting fight. Where are you guys leaning before I give my my official pick?
I think Kamaru Usman gets this one done, to be honest. I really
Yeah.
do. Especially like you said with the altitude difference. I don't know, man. Not to shit on Leon Edwards at all, because I think Leon Edwards has been underrated for a long time, and he proved that by being able to knock Kamaru Usman out.
Mhm.
That being said, I think overall, when you ask me who do I think is the better fighter, I think Kamaru Usman's the better fighter, and I think has a lot more to lose in this fight too. So I feel like he's going to come in there more dangerous, because if he loses this fight, he's in big trouble. If Leon Edwards loses this fight, I still think even as champion, it's going to be looked at like, you know, Kamaru Usman was the better fighter. If Kamaru loses this fight, man, it's going to be a big shot, not only to what he's going to do next, but his legacy.
Does he retire if he loses? Honestly,
I mean, you might have to think about it. Either that or maybe change a weight class, but who knows? But I mean, that's still a tall order. That's why I say I think Kamaru Usman gets it done. But that being said, that's something to think about.
Real quick, Kyle, just to preface what you were saying, the altitude thing, though, Trevor Whitman and them boys, they're training up in Colorado in the mountains. So if anything, it would be a huge favor.
Right.
Now
So what I'm saying, though, is that Leon, does that mean that Leon has a better gas tank and is able to turn it on earlier in the fight, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And not only turn it on, but be more consistent through those middle rounds. That's what I'm really, because it seemed like he was fine in the first. It seemed like once he sat down on that stool and that wrestling kind of had taxed his lungs just a little bit, then it was a totally different fight from then on. But J-Bone?
Dude, there's so many things in this fight, right? This is a big deal. But
yeah,
you gotta think of this. Leon, we had the Rocky moment, but his past 2 losses. So we had the Bilal Muhammad, it was no contest, right? He got poked in the eye, couldn't continue. Last time he got dominated was by Usman, many fights ago. He was dominated by Usman in this last fight. He got the lucky shot, and that's just what it is. But here's one thing you got to keep in mind: Usman belongs here. This is his 8th title fight in a row. He is no slouch to title fights. He is built for the main event at this point. There is no pressure on Usman, I don't think. He's going to go out there. He's going to wrestle him. He's going to dominate him. I think more pressure is on Edwards. It's his first title defense. That's huge.
Yeah.
What do they say? You can't defend your title once, you ain't a champion. 2, he's in his hometown. 3, there is still that lingering cloud that you've been dominated the past 2 times by this guy, and you did only win by perhaps the most magnificent MMA 101 head kick in the entire sporting world. But before that, you were getting beat up. You know what I mean? So can Usman keep that pace? Can he continue to dominate like he did the past 2 times they fought? I think he can, man. And like I said on the show on Tuesday, it's not a lot of things more dangerous than a champion coming back for their title with different focus, less pressure, if you ask me. I think he's going to go in there. I think he's going to dominate him for 5 rounds. And I think he's going to win it by decision. I don't think we're going to get that lucky shot. It'll be great if we did again. I mean, let's bring it back around again. But hey, you love the unpredictability of it all. But I think this one is going to be cut and dry for Usman. He's going to take it back home.
Both of you guys are leaning in that direction. I don't blame you one bit, because that's like when I initially heard they were running it back, I'm like, oh yeah, Usman's got it. And then I weighed like all my thoughts in my head, and I remember watching that fight back, and I'm like, Leon Edwards has a lot of opportunities in this fight. He's defending the takedowns well. He's, keeping himself in positions on the fence where he's not receiving any damage, and he's able to turn him off a lot of times, get the wizard, and kind of get back to center before inevitably getting pushed back to the fence and reoccurring. But I felt like we seen a lot of good things in that second fight, where I feel like he's in my opinion, after now watching everything, I feel like him and Colby would have been an amazing fight. Leon and Colby would have been an amazing fight, because you see what Colby.
Oh, I think that would have been a great fight too, for sure.
But either way, it's such an interesting thing, man. I agree more on Kyle's side than with you, J-Bone, on this one. I feel like the pressure is on Kamaru Usman more than it is on Leon Edwards, because of the fact that I feel like he still has that opinion. Everybody thinks I'm the champ because of that shot. It doesn't matter if I lose. It doesn't matter if I don't retain. I mean, yeah, it would be great. But, I did what I had to do, and I won the belt, and I became the champion, and I changed my life, forever known as a champ. But the hometown thing, yeah, that's definitely a little bit of pressure, but it's also an advantage at the same time when you got them fans yelling Rocky, Rocky. He
doesn't have to deal with the elevation again either.
The UK has some rabid fans too, man.
Yeah, not having to travel. I mean, there's a ton of different elements. Being able to just have his coaches. I'm sure he's probably been training in his
sleep in his own bed.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's been training in his home gym all week. It's definitely interesting, but I don't know which direction to really go. I've been weighing this out all week. Shout out Priest, past guest of the show. I went and fixed his door over the week, and we were talking about it as well over there. I don't know, man. I really don't know. For the sake of the show, of course, I'm going to give a pick, and I feel like with what we've seen in that last one, Leon Edwards should be able to perform way better than he did in that last fight, which he was able to get the victory in. That being said, I still feel like Kamaru Usman may be too much for him if he can defend himself properly and not be too gun shy, because that's one thing both of you guys didn't bring up, was the fact that coming off his first knockout, is this going to be the same Kamaru Usman? We might genuinely see somebody who's more scared to get hit, doesn't want to be in those type of battles, and it wasn't that long of a turnaround for somebody who got knocked out with their eyes open. That's a different type of knockout,
Yeah.
So I feel like Leon, he, like I said before with some of these other fights, he's super game, and he has the chance, and we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, money, if it was like, hey, bet your car for my car 50-50, I'm going Kamaru Usman on that bet. I'm not talking odds because I feel like the odds are way too slanted in Kamaru Usman's favor for the way that last fight played out, especially like I was saying with the tendencies that were shown.
All right.
Golly,
Well, we
don't love
made
it, though?
picks.
Most unpredictable sport in the world, man. It gives you fucking chills. I can't wait for Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, we've made our picks for the parlay or for the fights. Now for parlays, here's what I've got.
Who do I
laid
curse
out.
this week? Who do I curse this week? Fucking
Here's
curse
what I've got laid
I
out. I've
cursed
got
Valentina Shevchenko. I mean, like, shout out Alexa Grasso, but I have yet to hit on one of these parlays, and I was like, for sure, this is the set. John Jones, freaking Valentina Shevchenko, and Bo Nickel. Like, it's the easiest, worst odds parlay, but it's going to win. And sure enough, Valentina lost. So who am I going to bless with this curse, this pay-per-view? But go on with your picks, Kyle.
You want me
So
to? You want me to
got-
follow along here and build your plus minus here? Or what? Want me to tell
I've
you?
already
It'd be a-
got. I've already
it'd be
got
a
my plus.
long
I've already
sheet
got
of red,
my plus
bud.
minuses already. So
Okay. All right.
I got Rafael Fiziev to win by knockout submission or DQ, which is a plus 140, and Kamaru Usman to win by knockout submission, TKO or DQ. And if that hits, I bet 10 you win 96. The other one I got is a 3-fight parlay. I picked Roman Dolidze, which is a plus 225. I picked Fiziev to win by knockout, which is a plus 150, and I picked Kamaru Usman to win, which is a minus 240, which puts you at what are my odds? Plus 1,051. And if I bet 15. If I win 172. So win you some motherfucking money.
Let's get it, dude. Let's get some money.
So what was the official show three fighter pick though? What was that one?
I took Dolidze, Fiziev by knockout, and Usman.
Okay. Oh, you're throwing that extra layer in there with the knockout, but I agree with that one though.
I think if he wins, that's how he's winning.
Yeah. Let's hear it, J-Bone.
Look, I'm going all props on this one. All right. I'm calling the method of victory. We're going big or going home, man. We're gonna go big or we're gonna go home this week. Don't
Just cut
don't
me
at
off a piece once you win a bunch of money.
Don't at me when you lose. All right. Don't know that. Don't follow me just to lose. Follow me to win. We're gonna win. So, fight 1, I got Dolidze by TKO. That's big time. Fight 2, Fiziev by TKO. That's another one. Fight 3, Kamaru Usman by decision. That's huge. But I'm gonna give you a little bit more. I'm gonna throw you a 4th fight. I'm gonna say Brian Barberena by TKO. That's gonna put us at
shit.
Stacking them.
We're stacking it up, man. That's plus 16,726. You throw a hot $20 bill on that, you're coming home with $3,300, baby, and tell them Jay don't
Fuck.
send you.
And those are it could happen that way. It definitely could happen that way.
Very possible. Very possible.
If you were, that's your professional analysis giving what you think would happen. So I mean, it very well could happen that way. It's not too far off, that's for sure. That Roman Dolidze one scares the shit out of me though. I don't know if he's gonna
Oh, I agree.
Torres blockhead.
They all scare me. They all scare me. They all scare me.
Well, I am going to yet again try to break my curse, and I'm gonna try to pick some heavy favorites and see who I pass the bad luck to this week. So we're gonna go Lerone Murphy. I'm a big fan of his. I want to see him continue his growth, and I feel like taking on even though he's an LFA champ, he's just making his UFC debut, and those are usually guys that don't always do that well. Muhammad Mohayev. It seems like London's favorite adopted son over there that at 125 that everybody seems to be a huge fan of. And he's done a really good job pretty much running through every one of his opponents up to this point. And I feel like this is going to be another one of those. And then to end it, I will add a little bit of spice just because I feel like that is the direction this one's going to go. Barberena knockout. That's the one that worries me, but I feel like that's the direction I'm thinking that fight's going. So,
hey, you're sitting at plus 953, man. You throw a $20 bill on that, you're coming home with $200. Let's roll with it.
hey, that's not too bad. That Barberina one, I'm sure, brought it way up with picking the method of victory. But before then,
throw a little spice on that.
yeah, had to a little something.
Look here, bro. If I come out with both them boys real quick, I'll be coming out of here with like $300, and I get paid tomorrow too.
Yeah.
Look,
If you really want to get spicy,
if mine hits,
you could
you're going to WrestleMania.
If you really want to get
No, you
spicy,
won't.
you could do Muhammad Mahayev by sub, because I think that's the way he's going to finish that fight, because he's been subbing and just looking really great on the ground. So if you really want to get technical, but
taking the prop.
I need one to win, so I'm just picking him to win in his fight.
Corey's parlays are not the way to go, but I am on a 2-week win streak.
No,
God damn it. Let's go. My win streak is still coming with it. Momentum. We've got momentum. It's almost time to the road to WrestleMania to end and me to take my ass to LA. I even got my new Tigers jersey hoodie in the mail today. So you got to make sure you hit that subscribe button today so you don't miss none of that action for tomorrow. Until next time, and in the in-between time, fuck your couch.